the bloodthirsty vampire finally get the much-needed bathroom break after 125 years? Find out in the next thrilling episode of The Vampire's Diarrhea!
What happened, little kitty? Why so scared?
Now I could use the loo. Vampire will come.
Don't worry, little kitty. This is just a fictional TV show.
But vampire...
Perhaps they exist, or perhaps they don't. However, one thing is certain. We will uncover the truth in today's episode as we tackle the burning question. Are vampires real? Zoom in. In the shadows of the night, where darkness and mystery intertwine, a pale figure emerges, fangs gleaming and eyes fuming with greedy hunger. It's none other than the legendary vampire, who in most stories is believed to be evil beings that come back from the dead to bite someone who then turns into a vampire. But frightening question is, where did this captivating folklore begin? Well, the roots of the earliest vampire legends can be traced back to ancient Mesopotamia, where stories of anthropomorphic, bird-footed, blood-drinking spirits called Lilitu or Lilith roam the night. These age-old beliefs later gave rise to various stories that spread across the region. But the vampires as we know it today gained prominence in Slavic folklore, where vampires were described as undead creatures who rose from their graves at night to seek the blood of the living. They have the ability to transform into bats, control minds, and feared the sunlight. These stories captivated the imaginations of generations to come, but it was yet to become a significant part of our pop culture. And then entered Bram Stoker with his classic novel, Dracula, published in 1897, and introduced the world to its iconic vampire, Count Dracula, a tall, elegant figure dressed in dark clothing, known for his pale skin, sharp fangs, and mysterious charm that draws his victims towards him. The popularity of Dracula catapulted vampires into a realm of mainstream literature and forever cemented vampires as captivating figures of the night. Later, these creatures flew from the pages of literature and entered the silver screen to evolve further with classic movies like Nosferatu, which brought vampires to life and made them symbols of desire and eternal youth, captivating audiences of all ages. Then in recent times, the legacy of vampires expanded further with the popular Twilight Saga series that captured millions of hearts. But again, is there any truth to the existence of these bloodthirsty creatures? Well, let's not forget the inspiration for these fictional characters comes from the real vampire bats that feed on the blood of other animals. These real-life bloodsuckers remind us that nature itself holds fascinating and sometimes spooky surprises. But at the same time, always remember to separate fact from fiction, as there is no scientific evidence to prove the existence of supernatural vampires depicted in the stories. So embrace the mystery, embrace the legends, and may your encounters with vampires remain limited to the domains of imagination and entertainment. Trivia time! Did you know each night vampire bats drink about half their body weight in blood? Yes, they primarily feed on the blood of livestock such as cows, horses, pigs, and even humans in rare cases. To know more about bats, check out our other videos on them. Hope you had fun today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out.
Just take this medicine and your diarrhea will be fine.
Never mind.
No, I think it's a chupacabra.
Well, I think it was just the wind.
No, it's the chupacabra for real.
Well, to uncover the truth behind this modern-day creature, let me unveil the mystery of Chupacabra. Zoom in! The origin of El Chupacabra dates back to a hot, restless summer in 1995 in the rural countryside of Puerto Rico, when farmers woke up to gruesome sights of their goats, chickens, and sheep lying lifeless in their pens, their bodies mysteriously drained of blood with puncture marks on their necks. The townspeople were horrified. What kind of creature could do this? This sparked rumors, and the answer came in whispers. El Chupacabra, they called it. The name derived from the Spanish words chupar, to suck, and cabra, goat, hinted at its alleged feeding habits. But no one knew where it had come from or why it had appeared now. According to early witnesses, El Chupacabra was unlike anything anyone had seen before. Eyewitnesses' accounts described a bipedal creature standing 3 to 4 feet tall with bat-like wings, glowing red eyes, and spikes running down its spine. It had leathery reptilian skin and sharp fangs designed for draining the life from its prey. Some claimed it moved with an unsettling, jerky grace, hopping like a kangaroo through the fields, always vanishing before anyone could get too close. Fear spread quickly, and locals locked up their animals at night. But it did little to stop the attacks. The Chupacabra would strike silently under the cover of darkness, leaving only lifeless bodies in its wake. Villagers began to speculate that the creature wasn't of this world. Some believed it was the result of secret government experiments, a mutant that escaped from a lab. Others thought it was an alien that had crash-landed in Puerto Rico, an extraterrestrial predator roaming the forests and mountains. The story of El Chupacabra quickly caught fire, spreading beyond Puerto Rico to the rest of Latin America and even the United States. Soon reports of similar creatures attacking livestock surfaced in Mexico and the southern US. The Chupacabra, once a local terror, had now become an international enigma. But as quickly as it emerged, doubts began to surface. Amid the frenzy, some researchers pointed out that the description of El Chupacabra closely resembled a creature from the science fiction movie Species, which had been released just months earlier. So, could the Chupacabra sightings be the result of overactive imaginations fueled by pop culture? Or was it real? Well, when scientists investigated, the mystery began to unravel. Many supposed Chupacabra sightings were actually coyotes or wild dogs suffering from mange, a skin disease caused by mites. The disease left these animals hairless, emaciated, and with thickened, scaly skin, making them appear monstrous. Weak and desperate, unable to hunt in the wild, they attacked livestock, creating the illusion of a vampiric predator. The puncture marks and blood loss was simply the result of their bites. So what we thought was a monster was really a misunderstanding. But even if it's just a myth, born from misidentification, the Chupacabra remains an enduring symbol of fear and fascination, forever lurking in the shadows of our imagination, especially during spooky Halloween nights. Trivia time! Did you know a mite is a tiny arachnid closely related to ticks? Yes, mites are often found on plants, animals, and stored foods, and some can carry diseases. Hope you felt relieved today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. Never mind. Before reaching a conclusion, maybe we should investigate. And as we know, there's only one way to find out.
Dad?
By answering this big spooky question, are werewolves real? Zoom in! According to legend, a werewolf is someone who transforms into a wolf-like creature, usually under the light of a full moon. In this form, they are said to be powerful, uncontrollable, and maybe even a little bloodthirsty. But is there any scientific explanation for the whole werewolf myth? Well, no one knows exactly when or where the werewolf legend began. But some scholars think it might be dated all the way back to the epic of Gilgamesh. In this ancient tale, the hero Gilgamesh rejects a potential lover after he finds out she has turned her previous partner into a wolf. Another early werewolf story comes from ancient Greek mythology. According to legend, King Lycaon served god Zeus a meal made from human flesh. This angered Zeus, who turned Lycaon into a wolf as punishment. This likely helped shape the werewolf myths that followed. In Norse mythology, there's a tale about a father and son who discover magical wolf furs that allow them to transform into wolves for 10 days at a time. Stories like these spread across Europe, and by the Middle Ages, fear of mysterious werewolves was so fervent that in some places people were even put on trial because they were suspected of being werewolves. These tales have fascinated us for so long that even today, werewolves are a staple in pop culture. You'll find them everywhere, from classic horror films like The Wolfman to Michael Jackson's Thriller video and recent hits like The Twilight Saga. But again, is there any real truth behind these legends? Interestingly, there's a rare psychological condition known as clinical lycanthropy. This is a type of delusion where a person truly believes they are transforming into an animal, most often a wolf. People with clinical lycanthropy may feel as if their bodies are covered in fur, their teeth are sharpening, and their nails are growing into claws. Some even start growling or crave raw meat. And believe it or not, since 1850, around 13 documented cases have matched this description. Most of these cases are linked to serious mental health conditions like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, which can distort a person's sense of reality in powerful ways. Now, There are also physical conditions that might have fueled the werewolf myth. Hypertrichosis, a rare genetic disorder, causes excessive hair growth all over the body, giving some people a wolf-like appearance. Rabies, a virus that can cause aggression and fear of water, might have added to the legend as well. In medieval times, people with these symptoms may have been seen as cursed or infected with some kind of beastly spirit. But apart from these medical conditions and a few questionable eyewitness encounters, there's no real evidence that werewolves exist. So, are werewolves real? Not in the way folklore describes, but human imagination, along with some rare medical conditions, has kept the werewolf legend alive. And who knows, on the next full moon, maybe some part of you will wonder if something is lurking in the shadows. Trivia time! Did you know the word lycanthropy comes from the Greek word lykos, meaning wolf, and anthropos, meaning human? Yes, originally it referred to the mythological transformation from human to wolf. But today, it also describes the rare psychiatric condition. Hope you felt relief today. Until next time, it's me and Kitty zooming out. Phew, never mind. Oh, hold on, little kitty. Don't go out wearing those wings. People might mistake you for Mothman.
Mothman? Who's that?
A legend that's haunted humankind for decades. And today, we uncover the truth behind the wings by revealing the mystery of Mothman. Zoom in! It began on a cold November afternoon in 1966 in the quiet town of Clendenin, West Virginia. A group of gravediggers stood in a lonely cemetery, shovels in hand, ready to dig. Then, without warning, something enormous swept across the sky above them. Startled, they looked up, expecting a bird perhaps. But what they saw defied explanation. It was not a bird. It had wide brown wings, a human-like shape, and it glided from tree to tree with unnatural grace. They were men used to seeing death. But this thing frightened them. Just 3 days later, in nearby Point Pleasant, two young couples sped through the back roads near an old munitions plant. That's when they saw it, a towering figure nearly 7 feet tall, with glowing red eyes and wings that stretched 10 feet across, stood in the shadows ahead. When they turned the car around, the creature took flight and chased them, reaching speeds over 100 miles per hour. They raced to the edge of town, hearts pounding, unsure if they'd imagined the whole thing. Well, they hadn't. Within days, more sightings came. Volunteer firefighters claimed they saw a large bird with red eyes. A local man's dog vanished after he reported hearing strange noises outside his home, followed by 2 glowing eyes in the darkness. By the time the local paper, the Point Pleasant Register, picked up the story, it was already growing beyond the town's borders. People gave the creature a name, the Mothman. For over a year, sightings continued. Then came the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1967. 46 people lost their lives. And just like that, the legend took a darker turn. Some said the Mothman had been seen on the bridge just before it fell. Was it an omen, a warning, or something more sinister? As the decades passed, the Mothman shadows stretched far beyond West Virginia. Witnesses in Russia claim to have seen a similar creature before the 1999 apartment bombings. In Japan, red-eyed figures were reportedly seen before the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster. And in 2017, over 50 reports came from Chicago of a winged humanoid flying between skyscrapers. But not everyone believed the creature was real. Dr. Robert L. Smith, a wildlife expert, dismissed the idea and offered a more grounded explanation. The mysterious sightings were likely of a sandhill crane, a tall bird nearly the height of a man, with wide wings and striking red patches around its eyes. For some, the theory made sense, at least at first, but others took it further, speculating that since the bird had been seen near the old TNT plant, it might have come into contact with toxic chemicals, mutating an ordinary crane into something monstrous. Some researchers suggest a psychological explanation, noting that Mothman's features resemble sleep paralysis hallucinations. Perhaps it wasn't a creature at all, but a shared vision shaped by fear, stress, and the human mind. In the end, whether it's an ancient omen, a misunderstood animal, or a mass illusion, the legend of Mothman lives on, half myth, half memory, all mystery. Trivia time! Did you know the world's only Mothman museum is located in Point Pleasant, West Virginia? Yes, it has a 12-foot tall chrome statue, original press clippings, eyewitness reports, and movie memorabilia. Hope you discovered something mysterious today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. Who's there?
I am Mothman!
Well, never mind.
What is it, little kitty?
Kitty swears that doll just moved!
Well, scientifically, that's impossible. But since we are in the mood for mystery, let me tell you the haunting story of the Annabelle Doll. Zoom in! The real story of Annabelle began in the 1970s inside a perfectly ordinary apartment. Not as a porcelain doll with glassy eyes or delicate lace, but a simple Raggedy Ann doll, complete with button eyes, red yarn hair, and a stitched smile. This seemingly harmless toy was given as a gift to a young nursing student named Donna by her mother. At first, Donna and her roommate Angie didn't think much of it. But before long, strange and unsettling events began to unfold. The doll seemed to move around the apartment on its own. At times, Donna would leave her on the couch and later find her in a bedroom, arms crossed or legs folded differently. Even creepier, the girls began finding little notes on parchment paper with messages like, "Help us," and neither of them owned parchment paper. Things escalated when one night, Donna's friend Lou
reported waking up to find Annabelle allegedly trying to strangle him, leaving scratch marks on his chest. Terrified, the girls turned to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous names in the world of ghost stories and inspirations behind the Conjuring films. The Warrens concluded that Annabelle wasn't possessed by a child's ghost as Donna once thought, but instead was being manipulated by a demonic spirit. The spirit, they claimed, was trying to use Annabelle as a vessel to eventually possess a human soul. Spooky, isn't it? The Warrens decided to remove the doll and placed her in a special glass case inside their occult museum in Connecticut. The case had a sign that read, "Warning, positively do not open." According to them, Annabelle's paranormal activity didn't stop even after her containment. Yes, visitors who mocked the doll or tapped on the glass reportedly experienced bad luck afterward. Whether these stories are true or simply urban legends is still debated, but they add to Annabelle's spooky aura. Of course, skeptics argue that Annabelle is nothing more than a clever tale spun by the Warrens. Historians and scientists note that moving dolls and mysterious notes could have been pranks, misremembered events, or simply the product of overactive imaginations. Yet, even skeptics admit that the story has taken on a life of its own, blurring the line between fact and folklore. Hollywood certainly seized the chance to keep Annabelle famous, starting with The Conjuring 2013 and leading to her own spin-off films. Annabelle became a modern horror icon. The real doll, however, still sits quietly in her glass case. Whether she's just a harmless Raggedy Ann or a vessel for something darker remains up to what you choose to believe. In the end, Annabelle's haunting tale is less about proving ghosts exist and more about the power of storytelling. This reminds us that sometimes the scariest things aren't what we see on screen, but the mysteries we can't explain. It's trivia time! Did you know the doll received the name Annabelle after the psychic medium claimed to have contacted the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins? Also, Annabelle has remained inside her glass case in the Warrens Occult Museum since the 1970s and has not been moved. Hope you learned something spooky today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. Whoa! Don't be scared, guys. It's just a remote control toy. Are you all right, little kitty?
Oh, Kitty's scared of cemeteries. What if there are zombies?
Cemeteries can be spooky, that's true. But whether they hide zombies or not, we'll find out by answering, are zombies real? Zoom in! The idea of the dead rising from their graves isn't new at all. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's oldest stories from Mesopotamia, around 2100 BCE, actually mentions the dead crawling up to eat the living if the gods allowed it. Ancient Greeks also feared the restless dead. Archaeologists have even found graves where skeletons were pinned down with rocks or shackles, like a prehistoric version of just in case they come back to life. Pretty creepy, right?
fast forward to the 17th and 18th centuries in the Caribbean. This is where zombies, as we know them today, really took shape. The idea comes from Haitian voodoo traditions, where stories told of sorcerers called bokos who could use magic to bring a person back from the dead, or sometimes to enslave the living by taking control of their will. These zombies weren't flesh-hungry monsters, but more like soulless workers. This version of the zombie reflected the horrors of slavery on the island. For the same reason, the Haitians view zombies as victims who deserve to be sympathized with and cared for. By the 20th century, zombies had shambled their way into Western culture with the release of the first zombie movie, White Zombie, in 1932. Starring Bela Lugosi, it borrowed heavily from Haitian folklore, showing a master using magic to control the undead. But things changed dramatically in 1968 when filmmaker George A. Romero released Night of the Living Dead. Suddenly, zombies weren't controlled by sorcerers. They were contagious, flesh-eating monsters spreading doom with every bite. This movie basically created the modern zombie apocalypse genre we know today. From there, zombies exploded in popularity. Movies like Dawn of the Dead, 1978, turned zombies into social commentary.
This time about consumerism, since most of the story takes place in a shopping mall.
And by the 21st century, zombies had become cultural icons. Think of video games like Resident Evil, blockbuster films like World War Z, and even the long-running TV show, The Walking Dead. Each added new twists, fast zombies, swarming zombies, even sympathetic zombies. But the core idea stayed the same, the dead rising to challenge the living. But here's the wild part. Science sometimes dips its toes into the zombie pool too. In nature, there are zombie creatures like ants infected by fungi that control their brains, or wasps that turn cockroaches into living hosts. Scientists even use zombie as a nickname for certain viruses or mind-controlling parasites. So, while human zombies aren't real, biology proves the idea of mind-controlled, shambling creatures isn't entirely fiction. Today, zombies are more than just monsters. They are metaphors. They represent fear of losing control, fear of disease, and even fear of society falling apart. And that's why, from ancient tombs to phone screens, zombies never really die. In other words, zombies may not be real, but the stories behind them are very much alive. Trivia time! Did you know most scholars trace the word zombie back to the Congo word zombie, which means God or spirit of the dead? Also, World Zombie Day is celebrated on October 8th. Hope you learned something lively today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. So, little kitty, zombies aren't real. Well, except maybe the modern kind. Phone zombies.
Did you say something?
Well, never mind. Hey there, little kitty. Everything okay?
No, the teacher wants Kitty to play Frankenstein's creature in school play.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing, doesn't it?
No, the creature is so bad. I don't want to be bad.
Oh, no, no, no. It's not what you think. To clear up all the confusion, let me tell you the spooky story of Frankenstein. Zoom in! Long ago, on a stormy night, a young scientist named Victor Frankenstein dreamed of unlocking the secrets of life itself. Night after night, Victor worked in secret, and finally, one rough evening, his dream came true. The creature he had stitched together opened its eyes. But instead of triumph, Victor felt terror. His creation was not the perfect being he had imagined. Its eyes, its features, and its strange appearance frightened him. In a fit of panic, Victor fled, abandoning the creature to face the world alone. So the creature tried. At first, he was gentle and curious. He admired nature, the warmth of fire, the beauty of birdsong, the laughter of families he watched from a distance. He longed to belong, but each time he approached people, they screamed, struck him, or ran away. No one saw the kindness in his eyes, only the shape of his face. The creature's hope slowly turned into despair. One day, he tried to befriend a family he had secretly helped by gathering wood and clearing paths. Yet, when they finally saw him, fear consumed them and they rejected him. It was then that sorrow hardened into anger. Feeling betrayed by the world and above all by his creator, the creature sought out Victor. When they finally met, the creature spoke with pain, not malice. I did not ask to be made, but since I live, I ask only for kindness. Give me a companion who will not turn away. Victor wrestled with guilt and responsibility. He agreed at first to create a second being, but the thought of unleashing another creature terrified him. At the last moment, he destroyed his work, fearing it would double his mistake. This act shattered any trust between them. The creature, enraged at being denied even one chance for companionship, vowed that Victor would know his suffering. One by one, those Victor loved most, his brother, his closest friend, his bride, were taken from him until he was left in grief and despair. Haunted, Victor devoted his life to chasing the creature, seeking revenge for all he had lost. Their pursuit carried them across mountains, rivers, and icy wastelands until Victor, exhausted and broken, passed away from home. When the creature discovered his maker's lifeless body, he did not rejoice. Instead, he wept. Despite his anger, he had longed for a bond that could never be. He declared his sorrow, then vanished into the frozen wilderness, leaving behind the echo of his tragedy. On the surface, Frankenstein looks like more of a ghostly tale, but it is a mirror of humanity. Victor's ambition warns us about the dangers of chasing knowledge without responsibility. The creature's loneliness shows the cost of judging others by appearance, and their endless cycle of rejection and revenge reminds us how easily compassion denied can become despair. In the end, the true monster was not the creature at all, but a world that refused to see his heart. Trivia time! Did you know Mary Shelley started writing the story of Frankenstein when she was just 18 years old? Also, Mary got this idea in a waking dream about a man made of body parts being brought to life. Hope you learned an amazing story today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. So, Kitty, now say, would you like to play Frankenstein's creature?
Sure, but you're playing the mad scientist.
Never mind.